Victor Echo 3, Sierra Hotel Alpha. The name is Steve, Sierra Tango Echo Victor Echo, and we're in Toronto, Ontario, TSL.
Roger, Steve. Gosh, I got a pretty good copy on you, but I'd like to check and see if I have a better copy. So give me about 10 or 15 seconds and describe your antenna system, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. What's the name? Before I go. Well, I guess I'm not going to get the name. We're running a ground mount vertical. It's been cut about 4 feet out of it just to get it to resonate on all the bands. It's an 8-band vertical. And that's pretty good level. I changed the flow on it this morning. I wanted to make sure we did everything.
Roger, Steve, I'm copying you a little bit on the Arlington, Virginia SDR and a little bit on my local antenna. So if you would be interested, maybe we could try to fatten up your radio. Starts with the compressor at a 3. It starts with the compressor engaged at a 3, Roger.
Compressor engaged at a 3, Roger. Yeah, Roger. What's doing there?
I'm copying you on Arlington, and you're only 2 dB above their noise level. Repeat.
2 dB above their noise level. Repeat. What's your name?
My name is Jim, Juliet India Mike. Roger.
Oh, yeah, okay, Jim, we got it that time. Appreciate that. My processor is on. I'm not really that familiar with this radio, Jim. It's a Kenwood TS590S. And I don't even know, I imagine there's compression in it and all the rest of the stuff, but, you know, my lord, at my age, I can't figure out all these buttons. Jim, go ahead.
Roger. Well, let me give you notes, and then you can crank it in at your leisure later. First is engage your compressor at a 3. It's a token amount, but it does exactly what it's designed to do. We're trying to take what is normally an unprocessed signal of 10 dB dynamic range, and we want to reduce that to about 3 dB dynamic range to make it a much fatter signal, much louder signal that will transfer easier with less noise by a radio transmission as opposed to a 10 dB dynamic range unprocessed signal. So our setup starts with the compressor engaged at a 3. Roger?
Roger on the compressor.
All right, then we move to our ALC with mic gain in hand and speaking naturally and normally into your microphone. Adjust the ALC reading by the mic gain control until it's running mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC meter by adjusting your mic gain control as you speak normally and naturally into your mic.
Yeah, okay, Jim. Well, actually, my ALC is running about 100%, so I should bring that down?
Yes, sir. You don't want to run it that hot. You want to run it mid-scale to 2/3. And with that reading at mid-scale to 2/3, and along with your compressor running at a 3 out of 10 or 30 out of 100, you will achieve a 3 dB dynamic range, which will equate to average percent of peak modulation of 85% average peak modulation with a 3 dB dynamic range. Roger?
Yeah, roger that. Okay, let me bring this microphone down. That is about 2/3 there now, Jim.
Okay, I'm back on Arlington as the better receiver point, and you were saying now you were talking about your ALC meter, Roger?
You were talking about your ALC meter, Roger? Roger, ALC meter is about 2/3 scale.
Yes, sir. That's what you want. And did you say you had your compressor in line?
Say you had your compressor in line?
Still, you're faded out just a little bit. Repeat. Did you say you had your compressor in line with that ALC meter reading?
I have the processor on. The processor, I don't know where the compressor is. Jim, go ahead.
Okay, so later on, when you find out, the thing is, when you engage your compressor, it will affect your ALC just to some degree, and so right now you're looking really good, but you could look a little bit better if with that compressor in at a 3. And when you do find out where the compressor is and how to get to a 3 input level on the compressor, then you should need to go back to your ALC after you get the compressor in line and make sure that you're still running mid-scale to 2/3, Roger. And if you're running hot after getting the compressor in line, just adjust that with your mic gain, Roger.
Yeah, Roger that. Yeah, I'll get the manual out and see where the compressor setting is on this rig, Jim. KC9KV VE3SHA. Some happy amateur.
Roger, Roger. And the call sign here is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor VKV, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, I made that correction. Victor Kilo Victor. Sorry about that, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. I'm copying you on my local antenna now. You're about 5 dB over my noise. I can't give you a real estimated reading because my RF gain, receive gain, is way down, so I'm not sucking into AGC and introducing a lot of noise into your transmission. I'm just before becoming into AGC compression, so I'm getting as best recording as possible without introducing a bunch of noise when AGC goes into compression. Roger, Roger.
Yeah, okay, Jim. I just switched from my vertical to my end-fed antenna. Does that make any difference? Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what, there. The best way to do that is give me a 10 count, and at 6, switch. You don't have to power down or nothing. You just hold, don't say anything on the switch and continue counting. And then I can hear it precisely in an AV situation.
Yeah, okay, Jim. This is the vertical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is the end-fed wire. Go ahead.
End-fed wire looks to be about 1.5 dB hotter than the other antenna. Your second antenna was about 1.5 dB hotter than the first. Roger?
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, that's interesting that you found that for me. I appreciate that.
Roger, Roger. You can do that again the opposite way. Start with the hot antenna, and at 6, switch to the other antenna, and we'll see if it holds true backwards.
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, as I said, this is the end-fed wire, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is the vertical antenna. Go ahead.
First antenna was, again, looked that time almost 3 dB difference, about 3 dB difference between the first antenna and the second one, Roger?
Yeah, okay, that's amazing to know. I actually hear you better on the end wire too, but static goes up a little bit, but it doesn't affect you, so whatever. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, yeah, rule of thumb usually is if you receive a person better, then your transmission to them is going to be better. That's not always 100% true, but by and large, generally, if you switch antennas and you receive somebody better, then your transmission to them will also be better. Roger?
Yeah, okay, Roger that. Good to know, good to know. Well, I love playing with the antennas. Like I say, this vertical I took a total of about 4 feet of section out of the sections, 4 feet of pipe out of the sections, just to get it to resonate. And they said, don't do that. They said, adjust the traps, adjust everything else, but don't cut the pipes. Well, I had no choice, Jim. I tried everything. I could not get it to resonate where I had to. So I got out the trusty hacksaw and started going at it, and I finally got it to resonate in sweet spots across all the bands, Jim.
Oh, Roger. Well, it's nice when those things work out, but the best way to do that is slow nibbles. don't make any major cuts, just slow nibbles, looking at actually running an SWR profile. I have found that where you come up with your SWR from frequencies below the frequency that you're looking for and come through that frequency that you're looking for on up to a higher frequency above that, and that's called SWR profile, and you can see what's happening curve-wise easily that way. Roger?
Yeah, Roger, that is what I did, Jim. That's exactly what I did, and I only took about 2 inches of time out of each section. Now I started with the 10 meter and then worked my way all the way up to the 80. And I took about 2 inches out at a time until I got it to where I wanted it on 10, and then went up to 15 and so on all the way up through the band.
Roger, Roger. Now, one other question, Steve. Does your 590 have equalization?
I believe it does. It's buried somewhere in the menus, Jim.
All right, I'll give you another note for use later on at your leisure. I would crank in 2 clicks more top-end EQ when I found where my EQ is. Whatever you are at the moment, crank in 2 additional clicks, top-end EQ. I'm looking at your curve on a spectrum analyzer, and you have a very nice broad range, but you just need a little more top-end articulation for intelligibility.
Yeah, can I try this audio with the processor off, Jim, to see what you think?
Well, you can, but the thing I'm saying is that in order to achieve a 3 dB dynamic range, you need that compressor in there at a 3. It's a token amount, but it completes the transition from a 10 dB signal to a 3 dB signal. Roger?
Yeah, okay, Roger. Very good. Well, I'll leave the processor in for now. Yes, I've got all this written down, Jim, and I will certainly get out the manual and play with it tonight. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. And you maybe go ahead and flip the compressor off for a moment and let me look at you.
Yeah, the processor is off now there, Jim. That's back to you.
Roger. Yeah, I can tell your modulation is off and down, so I would leave that on. Maybe you might need just a slight correction to a third of its capabilities precisely later as you become more familiar with it. Roger?
Yeah, now this processor, I'm just looking at the screen, and it goes from 0 to 100. Right now it's at 41.
All right, I'd pull it to 30.
Okay, there's the processor at 30.
All right, and tell me about something you like about your radio.
And the ALC is about 50% on the meter. So the ALC did drop a little. I guess I should bring that back up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just speak naturally, normally, and just adjust it a tad up from where it is.
Yeah, okay. Let me just bring it up a bit here. That's about 2/3, Jim. 2/3 there.
Roger. Well, I think you got it, sir. Looking good to me. It looks like a nice 3 dB dynamic range, which is equating to about 80 to 85% average percent of peak modulation, which is very good. I mean, we're talking average percent of peak modulation, not just any peaks, but average peak modulation of 85%.
Yeah, okay, very good. Sorry, Jim, I had a phone call there. I had to step away.
Roger, Steve. Well, I think we're about done here, sir. I think you're about ready to go there and conquer the world, Roger.
Well, thank you very much for the help. It's good to get some good information. And I will certainly get the manual out and go through that tonight for this compressor thing, Jim. You have a beautiful signal up into Toronto today. You're well over the noise level, which I haven't even looked at to see what it is. But thanks for the help again, Jim. Victor Echo 3, Sierra Hotel Alpha, 7-3.
Roger, Steve, 3 is that way. And if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, if you go to YouTube and do that call letter search for KC9VKV followed by the date 9/18/20, both of those will, as a search, will take you directly to this recording and give us 48 hours to get it uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I will make note of that and check it out, Jim. It'd be interesting to hear. Thank you.
Yes, sir. 3 is that way, Steve, and you have a great day and a beautiful weekend. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday for our show from 3:30 till 5. As I'm trying to bring Milford back up. It's strange. Milford gets you for inaction and then too much action. And just you're working a tightrope with the Milford SDR, but I think we've about got it back together again, and it's looking good. All right, Steve, 3 to you, sir. Have a great afternoon, beautiful weekend. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog network. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.